Hello, everybody. This is Sarahscopic and Eskalia, and you are watching Asphyxia.
You did it.
I did it. All right. You guys, what is it? I don't know if you've realized yet, but we're the only ones here. Roberta and Georgia instantly stopped arguing. Both of them turned to look at the other, eyes slightly wider than usual. Like Samantha, they turned to survey their surroundings. The horizon was endless, stretching out in an unbroken expanse of trees and hills, but there were no people, not for miles around. Everyone had vanished like ghosts, visions, apparitions, as though they had never been there at all. Roberta swallowed, hard, her lashes trembling. Georgia looked unusually abashed, her gaze dropping down to her shoes, which was a first. Samantha had never seen Georgia look ashamed before, not even when she sauntered into class 20 minutes late. Was it Sam's overactive imagination, or was the evening already beginning to descend? Her own shadow seemed to stretch out behind her, growing ever longer, thinner, and more sinister by the second.
I can't believe it. When we actually need to use your phone, it's out of power. This is like something from a bad horror movie.
All those text messages.
I'm sorry.
Percy looked down at the floor, shamefaced, scuffing the ground with the tip of her trainer.
If I'd known we were going to get lost, I wouldn't have spoken with Harry so much on the bus.
Curse that, Harry. How you torment me, even in your absence.
Torment me for why?
If you weren't so enamored with that stupid simpering fop, we wouldn't be in this situation. We'd be able to call for help, and we wouldn't have to wait around in the godforsaken countryside, getting colder and colder with every second.
Do they not have a phone? Does no one else have a phone?
Apparently not. How does Lady Byron... Fuck.
With this sudden exclamation, Georgia spun about and kicked a nearby tree hard. Samantha watched from a safe distance, impressed and ever so slightly terrified. She had no doubt that if that kick had come into contact with her, a few of her ribs would be broken right now.
Hey!
But Percy was a braver person, Samantha, at least when the topic of her true love came up.
Don't blame Harry for this. He isn't stupid or simpering. I love him.
Maybe you do right now, but that will wear off in time. It always does.
Oh, so cynical.
That's such a cynical way of looking at things. Just because you feel that way, it doesn't mean I do.
You don't want to hear the truth? I'm sorry. True love does exist, and you'll find your Prince Charming out there someday. And while I'm at it, do you want me to confirm the existence of Santa and the Easter Bunny too?
She's just so jealous.
It's all well and good acting so high and mighty, but I don't see you doing anything to help us.
That's right. If you're so smart, Georgia, why don't you try to fix everything? Where's your phone?
I dropped it in the swimming pool last Saturday. It's totally dead.
How do you not have a new one by now? You would
Indeed.
get a new one the next day.
Yeah.
Why did you even take your phone to the pool with you?
Georgia
Georgia shrugged. Sorry.
I don't know, to show off to the other girls on the swim team, I guess. It was the latest model.
Oh my gosh.
And how much did that cost you?
I don't want to say. Just thinking about it makes me want to cry.
Percy rolled her eyes.
And you say I can be stupid sometimes. How are you even able to afford all the expensive things you break and lose? Your family isn't that rich.
Whoa!
Oh, no.
Oh. We're not, but you can get pretty far in life when you're literally a lady. Lady Byron. Sounds kind of cool, huh? Like a mistress in a gothic novel.
I think she must have been she must have been mistress in a different kind of gothic novel.
Yeah. It makes me feel like I should be living out in the wild moors in a mansion, a mad wife in the attic, and a bunch of deformed servants to do with as I will.
She's into some weird stuff, I guess.
Yeah, what story is that?
Yeah. It actually makes sense now why she's taking such pride. It's made in modern times. Lords and ladies. It's just a title. It doesn't mean anything. They're not even necessarily wealthy. They might own maybe a nice place, but that's about it. That's not like they make tons of money.
Right.
So this actually makes sense. You know, she's a modern lord and lady, which is probably why they're all eye rolling. But
yeah,
for her,
they're like, what's it matter?
Yeah, exactly. If there was one thing Georgia was proud of above all else, it was that title. Samantha had heard rumors that whenever Georgia went to Starbucks, she always stipulated that the barista had to write Lady Byron on her cup. Oh my gosh, but I would do that! Come on! If I was Lady Scales, I would totally have...
Lady Eskalia.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Now, if I had that title, it's if I could have a title, like Chancellor. I think Chancellor's the coolest title ever.
It is a cool title.
Chancellor Eskalia.
Exactly. Well, given that she was a lady in name only, with no money at all, she probably had to get her kicks where she could. Yeah, exactly.
And what about you two? Do you have your phones?
I
I didn't bring it with me. I forgot. I forget your phone in these times.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised since you managed to forget to bring half your hair with you. My hopes weren't high.
Oh, ouch! Samantha brought a hand to her hair, frowning. Did it really look that bad?
And what about you, Bobby? You're sensible, right? You remember to bring your phone, didn't you?
Of course I remembered. Unlike Sam, I'm not so scatterbrained I'd leave it at home, and I wasn't clumsy enough to drop it in the swimming pool either.
Ooh, good job, Bobby. I could almost kiss you.
Oh!
Yeah, we bet
yeah,
you'd
I
like
bet
that.
you like that. Please don't. And don't call me Bobby like we're friends either.
Madame, you wound me.
just wants her so bad. And yet, despite her protestations of the most horrible heartbreak, Georgia seemed to recover from being rebuffed incredibly quickly.
Is Bob all right then?
Even worse. With a long-suffering sigh, Roberta drew her phone out of her pocket. It was not quite as sleek or shiny as Percy's, and was undoubtedly less expensive than George's had been. Rip. But it was fully capable of getting the job done. Rip.
We just went through all of that for her to say, here's my phone.
I know. Oh, man. It's a good thing one of us has a functioning phone. You better thank me for this, Georgia. Not like I'm doing it for you or anything.
Please tell me she doesn't get any service. Please tell me she doesn't get any service. Hey, are you trying to guilt trip me?
Maybe. You deserve to feel guilty every once in a while. It'll work wonders for that ego of yours.
You're even more egotistical than I am, Bobby. You just hide it better behind that old lady facade of yours.
I'm in a roleplay, this is weird. Old lady?
That's right. You're just like Lillian. You're both so stuffy. Arrogant, too.
I am nothing like Lillian.
You are. What was it the pair of you said when you were running to be on the student council? That you were going to do your best to represent the student body, to stand up for us when we were being unfairly persecuted?
You wanted to keep a bear in your room, you cretin. Of course we were going to refuse. What? What?
But the student handbook only specified we weren't allowed to keep cats or dogs. It didn't say anything about bears.
What?
Oh, she's an idiot.
She's just... That's because we assumed, wrongly it seems, that nobody would be stupid enough to assume those rules did not logically extend to bears.
My, somebody's touchy.
I think she knew. She just wanted to be
Yeah.
stupid. I am touchy because I'm trying to concentrate, and your antagonism is not helping.
Concentrate? How hard can it be to find a phone number? You did save Miss Pope's number into your phone, didn't you?
Of course I did. I am simply having some trouble because you are distracting me.
Then hand your phone over here. I'll call her for you.
Oh. What? Hey, wait, what are you doing?
Squeezing her ass, I think.
Yeah, I think. Roberta's cries fell on deaf ears. Swooping in like a bat, her black hair tumbling about her shoulders, Georgia fished Roberta's phone out of her hands in a matter of milliseconds, and apparently touched her butt in the process.
Well, I would think so, yeah. Ooh, now this is interesting.
What? Georgia giggled, Roberta's phone secure in one hand. Of course, as everybody knows, the mobile phone is one of the most precious possessions a person can have in the 21st century. No longer are phones mere tools used to contact others. They are far, far more than that. They are more like lifelines, a very extension of their owner's psyche, part of their soul. Okay, you didn't have to use that many sentences to explain why stealing a cell phone is really intrusive. And a very personal part of Roberta's soul, filled with her most important private memories, had suddenly been wrenched right out of her hands. Thank you.
Ugh.
Naturally, Roberta was upset about this. In fact, upset was an understatement. How many cents are we gonna get to this? She was almost livid with rage. Georgia, give that back. It's personal.
Personal, huh? I wonder just how many personal things are stored on here. Ooh, now this is interesting. Who is Edmund, and why have you sent each other so many texts?
You don't just read through my stuff like that. Give that back.
Georgia, this really is too much. You shouldn't just steal a girl's phone like that.
But why? Bobby deserves it. It's because she's always so uptight.
I am uptight because I have to spend time with you. You will always try and provoke me.
Only because I always get a reaction. You must not be very smart, Bobby, if you don't even know that.
Don't try to blame this on me. This is your fault.
Can you two set your differences aside for once? We need that phone. It's the only way we can call for help.
Oh, are you getting worried, Sam? I bet you wish Lily were here to hold your hand, right?
Oh, Georgia.
Lillian has nothing to do with this. I don't want to talk about it.
Because she hung you out to dry too, huh? Just like she did with Percy. For all she spoke about caring for her fellow classmates, she didn't really make much of an effort to fulfill her promises.
Okay, well now that explained, I mean, I thought it was just basically like George is just jealous of her, but she hurt Percy. This has nothing to do with Lillian or Persephone or the student council. Give my phone back right now.
What if I don't want to give it back?
What if I don't want to freeze to death in the middle of the countryside?
Hand it over!
Come on, Georgia, this is childish, even for you. I don't want to be wandering around here when it gets dark. It's more dangerous out here than you may think.
I'm having a trouble distinguishing Samantha and Percy's
Yeah.
voice, so I apologize, folks.
Don't act so serious, you guys. I'll give it back soon. First, though, Bobby, you have to apologize.
Apologize for what?
For being such a sycophant who makes promises but never keeps them. Then maybe I'll think about it.
You really are impossible. Of all the nerve.
Really? I think you're the one being impossible, Bobby.
Stop calling me Bobby. My name is not Bobby. Now give my phone back right now. Roberta reached forwards, trying to snatch her phone from George's hand. Georgia stepped backwards, trying to hold the phone out of Roberta's reach. A move doomed to failure, really, given Georgia was quite a bit shorter than Roberta was. Roberta's hand collided with Georgia's. If they had been actors in a movie, that moment of impact would have been a shot in a close-up in slow motion. No! Roberta could only watch, eyes wide with horror, as her phone flew out of Georgia's grasp, making an elegant arc in the air. Percy moved forwards, attempting to catching it before it hit the ground, but it was too late. Percy had always been dreadful at sports. That was the main reason why she had been bullied so terribly in her PE class. She couldn't have caught a ball to save her life.
Oh, no.
And she certainly could not have caught that phone either, even if it could, potentially, have saved the lives of 4 people. The phone hit the floor, hard, but not with a thud, as one might have expected. Instead, it landed with an unpleasant squelch. It was a similar kind of sound that was made when shoes sunk in mud.
Ooh.
All 4 girls looked down to the ground in almost perfect unison. There lay Roberta's phone, the extension of Roberta's soul, their final link back to civilization, the only sign of the 21st century for miles around. It was resting neatly, almost as though it had been preordained by some greater being, right in the center of a large, dark brown cow pat. Ew. Very gross. Oh, for fuck's sake! Roberta was kneeling down on the ground, trying to clean the manure off her phone by wiping it against the grass. She'd been doing this for the last 10 minutes, but the dirt didn't seem to be shifting. Perhaps if Roberta had not been holding her phone pinched between her thumb and forefinger, as though it were something diseased, the process would have been a lot quicker. If you wanted to touch manure, I would have left the phone alone. Be like, nope, we're doomed, guys.
You gotta freeze?
We're gonna freeze. I can't. Roberta certainly didn't.
Do you think this is going to work?
I have no idea. This is somewhat beyond my area of expertise.
So I guess even the great Roberta Southey doesn't know everything.
Oh my gosh, Georgia. Southey.
Southey?
I don't know if it... Roberta got to her feet and glared at Georgia, her face a picture of rage.
Georgia's about to get clocked.
You know what, Georgia? Why don't you just shut up? This is all your fault, you know.
I don't know about that. Is it really?
Gosh. Yes, it is. You know damn well it is. Can't you even take responsibility for your actions?
Responsibility is such a boring word.
Oh my gosh. I might just clock her.
You two.
What? Do you have anything particularly insightful you would care to add to this conversation, Sam?
Well,
Samantha took a step backwards, her hands behind her back. She'd never seen Roberta look so angry before. The dependable, motherly image she had once had of Roberta was slowly beginning to fall away, piece by piece. Well, not...
She's having a bad day.
She's having a bad day!
Yeah.
I'd be mad too!
I just thought it would be best if we didn't argue. We can assign blame later, but for the moment, that isn't going to get us anywhere.
That's right, Bobby. It's all swings and roundabouts, you know?
And what the hell does that mean?
Instead of standing around here pointing fingers, we should be doing something productive. Isn't that the mature adult thing to do?
Oh my gosh. Now you look here, Lady Byron. How can you, of all people, stand there and give me that advice when this is your fault?
Trying to find out who is at fault and who isn't at fault. That's so childish.
Oh
I expected better of you,
gosh.
Miss Treasurer of the Student Council.
She is gonna get pushed in that manure.
Oh, God.
I don't need to try and find who's at fault. It's you. You're clearly the one at fault here.
Oh my, trying to vent your frustrations on poor innocent old me. I suppose if I must be the sacrificial lamb to keep the party spirits high, I do not mind. Cut me open and feast on my flesh, if you will, and I hope you choke on your guilt later.
Oh my gosh.
Georgia, I don't think you're helping. Part of being an adult is admitting to your own mistakes, isn't it?
Percy tried to interject, but it was all in vain. Georgia didn't listen to her. Georgia didn't listen to anyone. The only one who should be feeling guilty here is you. Stop trying to act like a martyr, you shameless demon.
Ooh, you think I am evil incarnate. I'm happy you think so highly of me, Bobby.
Oh my gosh! Indeed, I do. I believe you're the most egotistical, self-centered, selfish, unrepentant swine I have ever had the misfortune to meet.
Alright, that's enough. I'm tired of listening you two argue. Why don't we try to get along just for the moment? We've waited here long enough, and I doubt anybody's going to come back and find us, so we may as well start searching by ourselves.
We don't know where the youth hostel is, and we don't have a map. We might just get even more lost.
We might, but that's probably better than standing around here fighting, don't you think?
Well, since somebody broke my phone, this might be the only recourse we have.
At least walking will do us some good. I'm so cold I can't feel my toes.
Alright, fine. I wanted to stretch my legs anyway. I was getting so bored standing around in the same place.
And so the intrepid group of explorers were reunited under a common goal, to return safely to civilization!
With an S.
Yes. But who would they be able to make it back? Would they ever be able to make it back alive? Next
Dun,
time.
dun, dun.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, jeez. Maybe they would, if Roberta didn't snap and murder Georgia somewhere along the way.
I hope not, then I won't have anyone left to voice.
This tree really does look familiar.
That was the fourth time Percy had made this observation. Samantha knew. She had been counting. Roberta ground her teeth together, pressing one hand against her temple. A vein in her forehead was throbbing.
You don't have a headache, do you?
What do you think? Isn't that to be expected given the circumstances?
I'm sorry, I know it was a stupid question. I was just trying to make conversation.
I hope you will forgive me, Sam, when I say I'm not in the mood for conversation right now.
Yes, of course. I'll be quiet.
Roberta had been trying very hard to keep her temper under control this last hour, but had been boiling away underneath her strained expression all the same, like lava inside a volcano. Roberta hated being lost, and she hated being disoriented, and she hated being confused. These were simply not Roberta-esque states of being. Roberta was a thorough girl who enjoyed bringing order to disorderly things, which was, Samantha often pondered, the main reason Roberta deigned to be her friend. Not a healthy thing, let me tell you. Roberta liked planning things, and she liked making schedules, and above all else, she liked keeping to them.
Hi, Roberta.
Shut up. Shut up. I already told you that these two ladies are me, and I'm talking to myself right now.
It's weird, because I see Georgia and Percy, and I'm like, hey, it's me.
No.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. This school trip, unfortunately, had been nothing short of a disaster. Everything that could have gone wrong had gone wrong, and it was driving Roberta crazy. The pressure was building. With just the slightest provocation, she was going to snap. And the poor soul who unwittingly provided that provocation was Samantha.
I wish Lil...
Really? Really, Samantha? Really, Samantha? Of all the things you could have said.
Yeah.
We talk about things you're supposed to keep in your head, not say out loud. This would be one of those things.
Yep, this isn't gonna go well.
This is not gonna go well.
I wish Lily was here.
Samantha had not meant to say it out loud. Instead, she muttered it under her breath, more to herself than anyone else. After their numerous arguments on the subject of Miss Lillian Wordsworth, that's her name.
Wordsworth?
Okay. Samantha knew better than to bring her name up around Roberta, particularly when Roberta was in a foul mood. Samantha might have been masochistic, but she wasn't stupid. Far from it, in fact. But it didn't matter what her intentions were. She had let this small prayer slip from her lips regardless, and Roberta had heard her. Excuse me, Samantha? Samantha paused. Roberta had stopped walking. Their walking was probably pointless anyway, given they had been going around in circles, but the sudden cessation of movement, a break in the status quo, seemed to signify something. Something deeply unsettling.
Uh-oh.
Samantha's heart convulsed. It was almost as though it sensed danger, was trying to eject itself from her body in a self-defeating manner of self-preservation.
Roberta, are you you alright? I believe you have already asked me, Samantha, and my answer is now much the same as it was before. I am not alright. In fact, I am the exact opposite of alright. I have been doing my very best to remain calm, despite our adverse circumstances. That is what I am used to, after all. When I'm with you, I always have to be the mature one, the responsible one, whilst you are afforded the luxury of whining and complaining. However, Samantha gulped. She didn't like the sound of that, however. Howevers, much like their close cousins, the Butts and the Becauses, never heralded pleasant news.
I hate my cousins, the Butts.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
I've had enough of it! All you ever do is rely on people. You are incapable of doing things for yourself. And why are you still thinking about Lillian anyway? I thought she stopped being friends with you. Don't you remember? Because I do. You were crying for weeks afterwards, and I was the one who had to hear it. I was the one who had to deal with it. Oh, Roberta, my heart. Oh, too real. I've always been there for you whenever you go through one of your maudlin turns or manic episodes. No matter how late it is or how inconvenient, I am always there to listen to your worries. Responsible, reliable, Roberta.
Damn.
Well, now I see I'm also irrelevant, Roberta. Oh! Even though I put...
She knows how to twist the knife and make it hurt. Damn.
Yeah, she's been... Well, the problem is that she's probably been thinking this for a very long time.
Yeah.
Even though I put so much effort into our friendship, you still don't appreciate it. You never think about me. All you do is think about her.
It's called being in love.
Yeah. If Lillian were to apologize to you, then you would drop our friendship in a heartbeat. You're so fickle, Sam. And so selfish, too. I'm just somebody convenient you can turn to for help. But you don't really value me as a human being. It's like you don't even realize I have feelings, too. I can't believe you're still thinking about her. You're still so obsessed. You're so obsessed with a girl who wants nothing to do with you anymore. A girl who must be far, far smarter than I evidently am, because she realized you were a pain long before I did, and so refuses to put up with you anymore. Jesus, this is harsh.
Ow.
Well, I am through with it. I don't want to babysit a stupid girl desperate to get her heart trampled on anymore. If you want to be hurt by Lillian, then go ahead. Be my guest. But don't come crawling to me when it blows up in your face again. I'm sick of it. Samantha stared at Roberta, her eyes wide, struck dumb. For a girl who was fairly talented at arranging words in accessible, intelligent ways, her exam results said as much, Samantha couldn't say a word. How could she respond to that? Every single one of Roberta's barbed comments hit home, tipped with an exquisite kind of poison which burned a hole through Samantha's already damaged ego. Although that barrage of insults had come out in a mad rush, expelled from Roberta's mouth as though it was something disgusting and shameful, it had been too clearly articulated to have been born from a momentary burst of anger.
Yeah.
She's been thinking of this for a while. Roberta did not do spur of the moment, not even now as she stood there, hair windswept, face flushed with rage, her fingers clenched into fists. Even after she had shouted so hard her vocal cords threatened to tear, her words had not been unprecedented, unmediated. Roberta had meant what she had said, down to the very last syllable.
Georgia and Percy are like, nope,
absolutely not.
Nope.
I'm out of here.
Not dealing with that.
You're right. Maybe Samantha had been pushing it too far these last few weeks. Now, Roberta didn't even want to be her friend anymore, just like Lillian before her. Once people grew to know Samantha well enough, they began to realize Samantha's cheerful smiles and self-effacing bars were all for show. Well, this is getting a little too real. She could be funny, yes, and charming too, but underneath it all, she was neurotic, anxious, and perpetually troubled. And it was just too much for most people to deal with. So that was it. Roberta hated her. Maybe she hated her for a long, long time, and she'd been far too polite to tell her.
Damn.
Well, at least she knew now. That was good, wasn't it? Nice and refreshing. The truth was a beautiful thing. It should have been, if only it didn't hurt so much. Samantha sniffled. It took her a few moments to realize she was crying. Her tears, hot and salty, dripped down her cheeks, cooling fast from the cold wind. There was no remorse to be had, not from Lillian, not from Roberta, not from herself either. She couldn't refute Roberta's claims. It would be impossible. She knew Roberta was telling the truth. She was a pain, a burden.
Oh my god.
Maybe she shouldn't have gone on this trip to begin with. Maybe it would have been better if she had spent these 2 days holed up in her bedroom, alone, lying under her duvet, with her eyes closed, pretending to be dead. That way she wouldn't be able to upset anyone. So, this was for the best, right? It would make everybody happier.
Oh my god.
Tears the size of penny pieces dripping down her cheeks, Samantha turned and ran. She didn't know where she was going, but that was fine. She hadn't known where she was beforehand anyway, and anywhere, absolutely anywhere, would be better than being with Roberta, being scrutinized under her cold, passionless gaze, which held not a single shred of love, not a single shard of compassion. If only she could run away from herself too. But that was not the thing she knew she could. That was the thing she knew she could never do, no matter how quick her stride, how furious her footsteps. She couldn't outrun her own mind. I need a moment.
Wow.
And that's it for this episode, folks. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Peace, joy, love, and koi, everybody.
Yes.
Mwah.